A Ukrainian army spokesperson has confirmed that a counteroffensive near Kherson has begun. US defense sources also say Ukraine's artillery hit Russian targets behind the front lines in preparation for an advance. Kiev says it has broken through in several places, but there's little detail about how far they've got. For weeks, Ukraine's new long-range artillery has altered the balance of power. 20,000 Russian troops are thought to be isolated near Kherson due to strikes against supply lines, and a counter-offensive was long expected. On Monday, hosting Kiev's foreign minister, the Swedish prime minister pledged more support.
Borders must never be changed by force or war. And it is our duty and honor to support you. That way is why my government will go forward with the new support packages to Ukraine with a value of 1 billion Swedish kronas, approximately $100 million US dollar.
Russia may be facing issues with the drones that it received from Iran, and US officials said that Russia is facing numerous failures with these drones, but didn't go into the technical details of the same. Now, the US officials said that Russia received Mujahid 6 and Shahid series drones from Iran. The deliveries reportedly arrived over several days this month. According to the officials, Russia plans to acquire hundreds of unmanned aerial vehicles to use in Ukraine, and that the drones can be used for both aerial bombardment and electronic warfare. Washington had earlier given warnings about Tehran supplying Moscow with drones. The US said that Russian officials, they've also visited Iran with at least twice in the past few months to inspect these drones.
Baghdad's high-security green zone has been hit by shelling. The explosions follow a day of deadly clashes in the Iraqi capital after Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr said he was leaving politics. It's unclear who was behind the attacks on the international diplomatic zone. Earlier in the day, at least 23 of Sadr's supporters were killed amid clashes after crowds stormed the presidential palace inside the green zone. The violence comes as Iraq remains gripped in a political crisis that has left it without a government since elections last October.
President Ebrahim Raisi held a news conference to highlight his government's achievements, but also defended Iran's nuclear program.
From the beginning, the Zionist regime didn't want us to have access to nuclear science, but it's become part of our country. You can't take it from us. These Zionists did all they could to stop us, to kill our scientists, but we didn't stop. None of their actions will be able to stop us. This is an absolute right of Iran.
He came to office more than a year ago, promising to fight corruption and restore Iranians' trust in their government.
A £3 billion warship, the pride of the Royal Navy. But for most of today, HMS Prince of Wales was stranded off the south coast. This was the vessel's celebratory departure on Saturday, delayed by a day due to a technical issue. It was then supposed to spend 3 months travelling to New York, Canada and the Caribbean, conducting training exercises with the Navy's Western Atlantic counterparts. Shortly after its departure, the vessel stopped. There are reports that there's damage to the ship's starboard propeller shaft, but all the Ministry of Defence said was that the vessel had faced an emerging mechanical issue.
It is the largest aircraft to crash in Australia, a Hercules C-130 firefighting tanker colliding into the snowy mountains, killing the 3 American crew on board. A report by the Australian Transport Safety Bureau effectively finding conditions were far too treacherous and the air tanker shouldn't have been in that fire zone.
In hindsight, clearly it was a dangerous place to be.
Paul Hudson, Rick De Morgan and Ian Macbeth were flying in Peak View near Cooma in January 2020. At 1:15 in the afternoon, they dropped retardant on the bushfire, but in 22 seconds, the plane tried to climb, stalled, and then crashed.
The aircraft likely aerodynamically stalled when flying in hazardous conditions that included wind shear and an increasing tailwind.